Good morning, everybody. This liturgical year, as you know, we've been hearing quite a bit from the Gospel of Mark, and it wasn't very many weeks ago that we heard this passage. It's the beginning of the Gospel of Mark. And that's how it begins with these words. The beginning of the gospel about Jesus Christ, the Son of God. It is written in Isaiah the prophet, I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way. A voice of one calling in the desert. Prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight paths for him. So, careful listeners will have heard one word repeated, prepare. And that's what I would like to talk about this morning, is preparation. That's our theme. And I can make it easy for you because what I'm going to ask you right now is to ask yourself, for what, for whom are you preparing in your life right now? What preparations are you making? And as I ask that, I guess I also would like to suggest that what God would most have us do is to do something pretty similar to what John the Baptist is called to do. He's preparing the way for Jesus to arrive. And metaphorically speaking, we're not called to be exactly like John the Baptist, but we are called to prepare him room in our hearts and to prepare in every way for a life that begins, is lived, and ends overseen by God, given by God. And I find that this is actually not a great focus of most of the people with whom I live in this culture, in this world, in Las Vegas, in the United States, or even for the great majority of people on this planet. One way we can know that we're not doing this too much is we can watch the culture we live in. For instance, if we watch television, we'll see the word prepare occur with some regularity. I find that the things we most hear about that need preparation, we need to prepare our taxes. We always talk every year about who's going to prepare our taxes. So in advertising, when we hear the word prepare, bing, our brain almost automatically goes to H&R Block. Another thing we need to prepare for, according to the fearmongers that are television and our advertising, is the possibility of our early demise. And have we planned and prepared for our loved ones? Should we die early? Will our kids go to college? And I'm not saying this question's unimportant. I'm saying it's not the most important question to ask yourself. In fact, if you're concerned about your kids, the number one thing you can do for your children to prepare them for a life that is satisfying, gratifying, and meaningful for them is to teach them to love themselves. And you teach this by loving them. This, of course, you think buying life insurance is an additional manifestation of that love. Great. But I wouldn't recommend that you list purchasing life insurance to protect your spouse and kids as in the top five list of things you need to do in life. Another corollary to that is we're told by our culture we have to prepare. Another thing we'll hear is, are you prepared for retirement? As if the most important thing you can do is slave your life away at a job you can't stand, putting aside a few nickels and pennies so that at the end when you're 65 or 70, or these days people have to work forever because since we don't pay anybody anything anymore, then you'll have a few dollars to spend in your leisure time. You've prepared for your retirement, but actually, have you really? Do you even know how to live if you've spent 55 years working two jobs that aren't particularly meaningful and have been underpaid and overtaxed and everything else? Not so good. So what's the alternative to all this? I won't call it foolishness, but I will call it not terribly important prioritization of our time and energy, and a not important prioritization of our capacity and our ability to prepare. God has made us able to prepare, and we can prepare ourselves for a life lived in God now and in the future. Preparation doesn't have to always be a million years from now. Some pie in the sky event, like a 25-year-old preparing for a retirement that's going to happen 50 years from then, or preparing for a death that's going to happen 50 years or 75 years from then. It doesn't always have to be this distant thing. We can prepare for a life that's lived in God every day until God calls us back to the eternal life from where we came. Catching on? Now, this isn't, I know, very interesting to a lot of people. Not everybody gets up today and says, you know what I'm going to do today instead of watching TV and running around, running errands all day? I'm going to read the Tibetan book of living and dying. I know that's a minority person. So let me try to give something of value on the topic of preparation to people that aren't as focused on the spiritual. Another thing we can learn about preparation is that the things we prepare for, then when that event or opportunity arrives and we've made preparation, then the event or opportunity goes far better. And this applies to every facet in life, not just our spiritual lives, but how we handle our profession or our romantic life. I meet a lot of people that secretly hope that someday they'll arrive at perfection that's outside of themselves. In church work, you see people who think, I'm going to find the perfect denomination. I'm going to find the perfect church, and they will have no flaws, and they will meet my needs 111% every day of my life. And that will be great. And until such time, I will just keep looking. But in the meantime, the interesting thing is the person that thinks like that is very rarely preparing themselves for being a part of that church that's so nurturing, that's so mature, that's so generous, that's so spiritually astute and evolved. If we want to become a member of a spiritual community that's like that, it's not all about going through Google and searching the world for where the best monastery is or where's the church that has the best choir. And so nothing wrong with these Google searches, but if you want to sing in that choir, when you get there, the biggest, most important part of your preparation will be building your voice up, learning more songs, getting your voice stronger and clearer and less pitchy, which means more accurate. You prepare yourself, then you meet that choir, you meet this thing you're hoping to find, you're more qualified to interact with it. Now, this also goes for romance. There again, the fantasy level. And I'm talking about full grown, I'm talking about people in their 50s will still think, I'm going to get a man that's as good looking as Brad Pitt in his 20s, who has money like Microsoft, but is really a creative, sensitive soul, who writes poetry. And there's like this long list of what the perfect spouse, the perfect date, the perfect woman or man is going to be that you're hoping to get someday. Listen, let me just shoot straight with you. You want to get that perfect person, you got to be that perfect person. You with me? You're going to set the bar high for the rest of the world. You have to set the bar high for yourself too. Are you making yourself as absolutely as interesting, as rich, as beautiful, as caring, as kind, as athletic as your ideals in others? This is the question. And if the answer is no, then I'm asking you to do yourself the favor and start preparing. You want that perfect relationship done someday that's really loving and nurturing and caring and secure and committed? Are you a secure person? Are you a genuinely caring person? When you are in relationships, are you committed? Are you faithful? Are you honest? Are you fidelatrous? If the answer is no to any of the above, not only are you less likely to attract that person, you are also less likely to retain that person should you ever fool them into dating you for a week or two. Sorry, facts are facts. The universe is in a certain kind of balance. And so, whether we're on a physical, mental, spiritual level, the idea of preparing and becoming the best person God created you to be and we all can be our very best. No one is ill-equipped by God. God equips all of us to prepare ourselves into the perfect example of creation that God intended. And when we do that, we will not only have enough life insurance and have enough money in our retirement, but we will have love and security in our life, and we will have a spiritual home and community that nurtures us and to which we provide nurture and strength and goodness. And we keep that all in balance. So today, let's make today and every day the day of preparation, and to prepare the way for the Lord and make that path straight and make that Lord's path straight into our own hearts and minds. All right, that's what I got. I love you.